Mark 4:30-32 reads, "And he said, with what can we compare the kingdom of God, or what parable shall we use for it? It is like a grain of mustard seed, which, when sown on the ground, is the smallest of all the seeds on earth. Yet when it is sown, it grows up and becomes larger than all the garden plants and puts out large branches, so that the birds of the air can make nests in its shade." Critics have often appealed to this passage, arguing that because the mustard seed is not literally the smallest seed in existence, Jesus made a false statement. From this, they conclude that Jesus was either mistaken, not a prophet, or not divine. The problem with this objection is that it assumes, without justification, that Jesus' words are intended as a scientific or botanical statement rather than as part of a comparison within a parable. It is important to note that Jesus is not teaching about botany in this passage. He is teaching about the kingdom of God and is drawing upon examples familiar to his audience in order to communicate a spiritual truth. Throughout Jesus' ministry, he regularly teaches in this way. He appeals to ordinary experiences and familiar realities. For instance, farmers sowing seed, shepherds caring for sheep, fishermen casting nets, women baking bread, fathers and sons, and many other everyday situations. His purpose is not to provide technical instruction about agriculture, shepherding, fishing, or baking, but to use common experiences to illustrate deeper spiritual realities. This raises an important question for those insisting on a strictly literal and scientific reading of the mustard seed statement. What principle tells us when Jesus' illustrations should be read scientifically and when they should be read figuratively? When Jesus speaks of a shepherd leaving 99 sheep to seek one that is lost, Luke 15:3-7, do we assume he is giving a lesson on livestock management? When he speaks of fishermen casting nets, do we conclude that he is teaching professional fishing techniques? Of course not. We instinctively understand that these examples are illustrations designed to communicate spiritual truths. The same principle applies here. The immediate context of Mark 4 confirms this. Jesus begins by asking, "With what can we compare the kingdom of God, or what parable shall we use for it?" The subject under discussion is the kingdom of God. The mustard seed is introduced as a comparison. Jesus then describes a seed being sown, growing, and becoming a large plant. The emphasis is clearly on the contrast between a very small beginning, remarkable growth, an unexpectedly large result. That contrast is the entire point of the parable. This is why the mustard seed is mentioned. Jesus is drawing upon something his audience knew from